Welcome everyone to Monday Morning Morons for August 27, 2017. This week is a little more random than last week because there wasn't one story that just dominated the news cycle all week. Surprising really, considering that Trump gave 2 speeches this week. Sure, the mainstream media bitched about them, but evidently there just wasn't enough in there to keep the bitch fest going all week. So we get a bit of variety this week. Let's begin with something that honestly just made me laugh. Petition calls for removal of LGBT flag from school. Makes comparison to Confederate flag. This I just had to see. Parents at an Alabama high school have reportedly started an online petition asking for the removal of an LGBT pride rainbow flag that is displayed outside a teacher's classroom. The argument is that the flag at Auburn High School creates a hostile and provocative learning environment for students not comfortable to openly support LGBTQ+ community in a public school where students come from diverse political and religious backgrounds. Yep, using the exact same SJW rhetoric to remove the shit they want. Brilliant. While I don't support silencing anyone's right to express themselves, I have to believe that whoever started this petition probably knew that it would be dismissed. But it does perfectly illustrate the utter ridiculousness of the SJW narrative against anything they don't like. And that's really all it is. They don't like it when other people express or show support for opinions different from theirs. So I like that these people have used exactly the same language to point out to these morons that this sort of shit can and will eventually be used against them. Once you get the authoritarians into power, they no longer need you and your opinions will be suppressed too. Since you already crushed the free speech supporters, there will be no one left to support you either. So think about that. Let's move on to something else that was positive this week. Chelsea Clinton defends fellow first kid, Barron Trump. Chelsea Clinton took to Twitter in defense of a fellow first child, Barron Trump, after an article criticized the president's youngest son's casual fashion choices. The youngest Trump doesn't have any responsibilities as the president's son, but the least he could do is dress the part when he steps out in public, entertainment reporter Ford Springer wrote in the Daily Caller. The story prompted widespread rebukes from both sides of the political aisle and the media, including a sharp statement from Clinton, who knows firsthand the spotlight of a White House childhood. It's high time the media and everyone leave Barron Trump alone and let him have the private childhood he deserves. Bravo, Chelsea. I mean that. Look, I've never liked Chelsea Clinton, and I still don't. I see her being groomed for public office, and it churns my stomach to think that someday this spoiled, pampered little shit is going to pretend she's one of the people and get elected to something. That thought is just nauseating. But credit where credit is due here. That's exactly the right message. The media and the never-Trumpers can slam Trump all they want. He signed up for it when he became a candidate. I think a lot of what they say is total bullshit, but they have every right to be as fucking stupid as they want to be and say whatever they want about Trump and his policies. Barron, however, is not a public figure any more than Malia and Sasha Obama are. I don't recall anyone, left or right, attacking those two girls. I mean, maybe it happened, honestly I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't remember it and I'm sure the left would have cried foul. And they'd have been right to do so. The president's kids are off limits for decent human beings. Well, unless they work in the White House like Ivanka. She's a public figure and she chose to be. Barron isn't and didn't. So leave him alone, you fucking psychos. Besides, picking on a kid for wearing jeans and a baggy shirt is a bit lame anyway. $10 says your kid dresses like that too, so mind your own business. Next, something with a little more meat to it. Rohrbacher wants to brief Trump on Assange meeting. Representative Dana Rohrbacher said Thursday he wants to brief President Donald Trump on his meeting with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. The California Republican said Assange told him Wednesday he was not behind the leak of Democratic National Committee emails last summer that ultimately led to the resignation of then DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz at the start of the party's convention to nominate Hillary Clinton. Okay, here's the first problem with your article. And I'm going to be exceedingly kind here and just say you did this by accident, but I'm pretty sure Julian Assange did not, in fact, tell anyone he wasn't responsible for Clinton leaks, because he already admitted that he did, in fact, post that stuff to WikiLeaks. So I'm guessing the narrative you're planning to spin here gave you such a chub that you couldn't think clearly. Assange emphatically stated that the Russians were not involved in the hacking or disclosure of those emails, Rohrbacher said in a statement issued Thursday. Worth noting here that Assange has said that all along. So, nothing particularly exciting about that news. Rohrbacher's meeting with Assange was first reported by the Daily Caller. Assange, according to the report, is looking to strike a deal with the U.S. so he can stop living in asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where the two met for 3 hours Wednesday. Again, not all that surprising. Assange wants to stop hiding out and needs the government to stop hunting him to do so. Obviously, he'd have to speak to someone in the government to arrange that. Not earth-shattering. Assange has been identified as a threat by U.S. intelligence, who believe he worked with Russian hackers to post stolen emails during last year's election. WikiLeaks posted the entirety of Clinton email chairman John Podesta's personal email account last October over a stretch of 30 days that led to the election day. Now we see the spin, don't we? Did you catch it? U.S. intelligence thinks the Russians hacked Clinton's emails and the DNC servers. Now, they haven't provided the public with any evidence for these claims, and I doubt they will, but that's what they're claiming. Then, we just hop, skip, and jump to John Podesta's emails, which, as Julian Assange has repeatedly said, did not come from any state actor, and that would include the Russians. We know that Podesta's emails were hacked through a phishing scam. I don't want to drag this out, but to put it simply, he responded to an email that sent him to a fake login page, where he then used his Gmail login information, which was sent to the hackers. With that info, the hackers can then just log on to his email and read whatever they want. As Assange, rather condescendingly, points out, that could have been anyone. Was it the Russians? Maybe. Certainly could have been, but then that's the magic of the word could. It could have been them, and it could have been someone else. Hell, it could have been MI6 for all I know. Since no one is going to show us any evidence, I can make up whatever wild-ass conspiracy theory I want. Maybe the Germans did it as retaliation for the wiretapping against Merkel that Snowden claimed we did. Maybe Israeli intelligence did it because Clinton was taking money from the Saudis. And maybe John Smith down the street did it because he had nothing better to do on a Friday night and thought he'd fuck up the old bat's chances of bullshitting her way into the White House. That's the beauty of conspiracy theories, folks. Without any evidence at all, I can claim whatever the fuck I want, and you can't prove it wrong. Anyway, let's take a look at the rest, because the rest is pure gold. Rohrbacher, one of Russia's staunchest defenders in Washington, has emerged as a key figure in the unfolding Russia investigations. Rohrbacher was warned by the FBI in 2012 that Russian spies were trying to recruit him, and Rohrbacher worked closely with the Russian team lobbying last year to repeal Russian sanctions. Members of that lobbying team met with Donald Trump Jr. last June on the premise of providing dirt on Clinton from the Kremlin. You see what just happened there? It's a shot across the bow. A cleverly veiled warning to Rohrbacher. Let me translate for those who don't speak media politico. It says, keep talking, Dana, and we'll discredit you too. Look how easy it is to tie you to the Russians and hint that you're a spy for the enemy. I mean, the beauty of it's right there. These things are so tenuous. Someone knows someone who spoke with someone else who was in a meeting with some other folks that you were in, talking about Russian sanctions. Then toss in some obviously leaked FBI info that he was a target for Russian spies 5 years ago, which, incidentally, only gets leaked if the FBI wants it to, and all of a sudden, holy shit, Dana's a Russian spy. It's the Red Scare all over again, only this time the Reds are labeling everyone else a Red, so we'll get rid of their competition. Those sneaky little bastards are launching a preemptive Red Scare. Next, we've got one of those stories that just makes you want a head desk for the rest of the day. Some students are claiming USC's longtime mascot, a white horse, is a racist symbol. Now, I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing when I first saw this one. It's because it's a white horse, isn't it? Well, you'll be pleasantly surprised to know that we were both wrong. It's not because it's a white horse. It's much, much dumber than that. The horse is named Traveler, which was also the name of Confederate General Robert E. Lee's horse. See? I told you. It's because someone named the damn thing Traveler, which just so happens to be the name of General Lee's horse. So now, we can't name anything Traveler ever again because some incredibly stupid shithead might be offended because a man 150 years ago, who never owned any slaves, had the same name for his horse. I wonder, does Safia Jackson here get just as triggered every time she hears the name Lucy? You know, Lee had more than one horse, right, Safia? Better start getting every Lucy in the country to change their name before Safia has flashbacks to the slavery she never endured. Anyway, while we're head desking over really stupid shit, oh yes, this is going to be just as stupid as you think it is. And worse. A first grader at a California charter school was sent to the principal's office this week after she accidentally misgendered a classmate in what's being called a pronoun mishap. The incident occurred at Rockland Academy, a school roiled by controversy after a kindergarten teacher led an in-class discussion on transgenderism that included a gender reveal for a little boy who was transitioning to a little girl. For kindergartners. That's right. It's not just college anymore. They're brainwashing your kids as soon as you put them into kindergarten. Parents were furious because they were not informed in advance and were not given the chance to opt out their 5-year-olds from the classroom transgender activity. However, school leaders informed moms and dads they were not allowed to opt out, and the state did not require them to notify parents. You heard that right. You cannot opt out, and they don't have to tell you what kind of bullshit they're teaching your kids. Orwell's nightmare is coming true. Pretty soon they'll drop all the pretenses and just inform you that they aren't your kids anymore. They belong to the school and the whack jobs teaching there. The latest incident occurred during the first week of school when a first grader came across a classmate on the playground. She called the student by his given name, apparently unaware that the boy now identified as a girl. First graders. On the first week of school. This little first grader sees a classmate, calls him by the name she knew him by last year, and the boy reports it to a teacher, Capital Resource Institute's Karen England told me. The little girl gets in trouble on the playground and then gets called out of class to the principal's office. She gets yanked out of class and sent to the principal's office because she didn't even know that this boy decided he's a girl and changed his name. And this, folks, this is the heart and soul of C16 Jordan Peterson has been railing against, only instead of little kids getting sent to the principal's office, it's adults being fined and jailed. England said the first grader was investigated by the principal to determine whether or not she had bullied the transgender child by calling him by his original name. After an hour, it was determined the little girl had made an honest mistake and she was not punished or reprimanded. Did you catch that? An hour. The principal investigated for an hour to learn that the little girl didn't fucking know. Bullshit. I strongly suspect that this was not an investigation, but rather more focused, intense brainwashing session. And God only knows what kind of total horseshit that principal shoved in that little girl's head. Now, I don't have kids, but for those of you that do, I strongly suggest you take the time to listen and find out what they're being taught at school. Chances are, you're not going to approve of it these days. These idiots are raising the next generation of snowflakes right under our noses, and we're fucking paying them to do it. Take a stand against this shit being forced on your kids, or there won't be any normal people left. And let's wrap up this week with your weekly dose of toxic masculinity. It's actually more like daily dose if you follow me on mines, but whatever. Florida caretaker guilty of attempted murder of World War II veteran after oxygen tank beating. I'm not going to read the whole thing, link is in the description for those who want to, but here's the crux of the case. Tristano, the victim, told officers Erickson showed up one night at her usual time to check on him. He said she began to argue with him about her payment and demanded a blank check. Tristano said when he refused, she began repeatedly hitting him in the head with his oxygen tank. Then she returned the next day to find him still alive and... Tristano said he was bleeding and begged for help, but was only given a paper towel, telling authorities she pinned him to the floor with a chair and left. And there you have it, folks. Woman demands 92-year-old man give her a blank check. He refuses, and she tries to beat him to death with an oxygen tank. Always remember the feminist narrative, folks. Men are oppressors and women are victims. No exceptions. Obviously, that guy should have just given her all his money. She's the real victim here, after all. A victim of patriarchy that forced her to care for this old white man, right? Take a stand against the lunacy, folks, or it's only going to get worse. I'll see you all next time.